Mensonge global de Léopathie, chapitre 8. La lune. La lune ne se situe pas à 384 400 km. Comme tout le monde peut s'en apercevoir, quand la lune est derrière les nuages, elle n'éclaire pas tous les nuages dans le ciel. Au lieu de cela, la lune éclaire seulement les nuages qui l'entourent. De façon empirique, le clair de lune semble davantage local. Les mesures prouvent la même chose. Parce que la lumière lunaire est locale, elle ne peut se trouver à 384 400 km de la Terre. Regardez.
So apparently the moon is 238,000 miles away. But if you just put that aside for a second and just look at the moon, perhaps you'll notice this. In this example, only the clouds close to the moon are lit up, not the clouds further away. That indicates that the moon is much closer than we've been told. Because if the moon were 238,000 miles away, then all the clouds should be illuminated, not just the ones closest to it.
So what do we see from Earth? Well, here's some time-lapse images of the starry sky, and we'll notice that the moon travels at the same speed as the stars. Well, how is that possible? You see, the moon is much closer to the Earth than the stars. So as the Earth spins, your angle between yourself and the moon would constantly be changing. Remember, the stars are a million miles behind. And you are spinning at 1,600 kilometers an hour, hurtling through space at thousands upon thousands of kilometers an hour. So, the moon cannot be moving at the same speed as the stars. So obviously, we're being lied to. We're being misled about the Earth and the universe and the solar system around us. This is not real.
Appears that Flashy Bull is in line, and they're off in the Kentucky Derby. And toward the inside, Sinister Minister, as expected, quickly jumps to the front. And Sharp Humor on the outside into second.
Voici une vidéo en time-lapse qui montre comment la Lune, tout comme le Soleil, rétrécit tandis qu'elle traverse le ciel.
Running away! It's Edgar Prado aboard, and Barbaro is going to win this Derby.
La lumière lunaire est froide et uniforme. À l'évidence, la Lune émet sa propre lumière, une lumière dotée de particularités qui lui sont propres. Le fait que la lumière de la Lune soit froide ne prouve pas nécessairement que le monde est plat, mais cela témoigne du fait qu'on ne nous dit pas la vérité à propos de notre réalité. Si le clair de lune est froid, cela signifie qu'elle ne se contente pas de refléter la lumière du soleil telle que le prétend la science officielle. De nombreuses expériences ont été réalisées et répétées à travers le monde, et vous trouverez des dizaines de vidéos prouvant à 100% que la lumière de la Lune est une étrange lumière froide. Même en tenant compte de la possibilité que la chaleur puisse parfois être prise au piège dans des zones d'ombre. En outre, il n'y a pas de zone lumineuse plus marquée que d'autres sur la Lune. Prenez un globe et projetez une lumière dessus. Le côté le plus proche de la lumière sera plus brillant que les autres parties du globe. Toutefois, la lumière de la Lune est uniforme.
I have heard that the temperature of the side of the wallet. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shine. I'm moving a little bit. I'm going to try to be as steady as I can with the laser so we don't have all that variation. See, different parts of the wallet are giving me different temperatures, I guess. Good, 93.2. All right, now let's go to the other side of the wallet. Look at that. It's cooler. It's cooler in the moonlight. Unbelievable.
Les marées de la Lune. Notre science contrôlée dit que l'attraction gravitationnelle de la Lune provoque les marées océaniques. Comment la Lune peut-elle déplacer les océans, mais n'a aucun effet sur quoi que ce soit d'autre, y compris les grands lacs, ou très peu d'effet, et les rivières? En outre, la position de la Lune semble n'avoir aucune incidence logique sur l'emplacement des grandes marées. Vous pourriez vous attendre à ce que les marées suivent clairement la Lune si elles étaient tirées par sa gravité. Cependant, les marées ne montrent pas une telle relation. En outre, les marées se produisent simultanément sur les côtés opposés du supposé globe. Donc, loin de la Lune, environ 13 000 km de distance. Comment la science officielle explique-t-elle ce phénomène? Elle dit que l'ensemble du sol de la Terre est tiré vers le haut par la Lune, ce qui provoque un gonflement de l'eau des océans sur le côté opposé à la Lune. Absurde! La science officielle a découvert un autre problème flagrant avec les marées et a inventé des faits absolument stupides. Le rebond quotidien de la Terre en direction de la Lune, un mouvement non mesurable qui n'a d'ailleurs jamais été mesuré, détecté par rapport aux étoiles. Mais bien sûr, la gravité de la Lune n'a pas d'effet sur l'atmosphère de la Terre, les avions, les ballons météorologiques, les rivières, les lacs, l'ISS, etc., mais peut cependant attirer l'eau de l'océan, même sur le côté opposé de la Terre, en attirant celle-ci vers elle chaque jour. Rappelez-vous que ce n'est pas parce que la science officielle vous fournit une explication ridicule que ça signifie que cette explication est authentique.
Here we have the moon pretty much over the east coast of the United States as far as its longitudinal area, where it would be closest to. So where would you think the high tide would be on this map? You would think it'd be roughly, right where the moon is. But let me show you now a visual representation of where the low tide is. Bing! There it is. In fact, just when it is in this position right here, Baltimore, Maryland, where I grew up at, is having a low tide. Even since a kid, when I would go out on the Chesapeake Bay crabbing and I would see the moon fully overhead, or at least as high in the sky as it's supposed to be when it's highest, and I would notice that we'd be at low tide. It just never made sense to me.
Pour l'histoire officielle du rebond de la Terre tous les jours, regardez cette vidéo.
On the bottom, another high tide is created because the Earth itself is pulled toward the moon, even though the oceans down here have less gravitational pull.
I'm sorry, guys. The Earth gets pulled up. Isn't the moon? This little moon, it pulls the Earth up suddenly when it's high tide time.
Les variations de marée ne semblent correspondre à aucun modèle. Elles sont un mystère. Regardez cette vidéo de The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction.
Properties of water, and once again, I think that's super interesting connection to all this, and as well, Rich from Mr. Thrive and Survive has talked about the whole electromagnetic thing with the moon and the oceans, and not just tides, but kind of exploring the idea of the currents. And so yeah, I'm not trying to dismiss any of these ideas or refute them at all here. Basically, what I keep coming back to is I think that there's a lot of intriguing possibilities with the whole electromagnetic idea and everything. Obviously, the main thing is looking at the tides in relation to the official model and seeing just how vast of a discrepancy there really is. The whole gravitational model being based not just on the alleged moon's gravitational pull, but the sun and the moon. And so the more I've looked into it, the more peculiar it really gets. Specifically, the thing that I've kind of been fixed on out of all of it is when you look at maps which display the average variations of tides around the world. Here is a flattened out projection, from the globe model here, which is most easily found, and the only place I actually was able to see any type of flat Earth rendering of this same map was on, like I said, Ashley Webster's video on tides and electromagnetic energy, and it's a great video. So thank you, Ashley, for this. I grabbed it off your video, and by the way, Ashley, where you been? You haven't been making any videos lately, so we should get back into that. But I think what's so interesting is that if you just stop and look at this, I don't really think it requires a whole lot of commentary, I wouldn't think, to see why basically on either a globe model or a flat plane, circular plane, why any sort of, obviously the gravitational model, which basically says that the moon's gravitational pull creates a tidal bulge, which basically moves around the Earth, following the moon, even though it doesn't follow it perfectly, and they have all these excuses as to why there's all these variations. But even so, even if you're trying to argue that it's just a tidal bulge that's being interrupted by the continents or the differences in the ocean depths and the currents, and they also say that it's not just the moon's gravitational pull, but the sun's gravitational pull in conjunction with it. It's like, regardless of all these sort of convoluted excuses, all these variables that they throw into the mix to try and make it, explain it away, you just stop and look at this map, and it still doesn't even stand to reason at all according to their explanations.
Pour un autre point de vue sur les marées, regardez cette vidéo de Ashley Webster. Elle explique le refoulement des aimants vers l'eau. Elle dit que le Soleil a peut-être une décharge positive et la Lune une décharge négative, et que cela peut-être cause les marées. Le problème du sélénilion ou éclipse horizontale. Le fait qu'une éclipse horizontale ou sélénilion puisse même exister remet sérieusement en question les origines des éclipses lunaires. Une sélénilion se produit quand il y a une éclipse lunaire, mais que la Lune et le Soleil sont en même temps au-dessus de l'horizon. Cela n'est pas géométriquement possible. Officiellement, cela est censé être causé par la réfraction de la lumière. En d'autres termes, la science traditionnelle n'a aucune idée et a ainsi inventé l'excuse de la réfraction pour l'expliquer. Encore une fois, comme l'a dit Joseph Jastrow, créer une croyance dans la théorie et les faits vont se créer. Peu importe combien incroyables sont les faits supposés.
So it's December 10th, about 6:30 in the morning. It's about 18 degrees out here, and we're standing on top of Cahokia Mounds, just east of St. Louis. Behind me is a full moon, which will soon be going into a full lunar eclipse as it sets, kind of a rare experience, while at the same time behind us, the sun is already beginning to rise. So this could be a very interesting and beautiful experience. Oh, am I on? Okay. So it's about 6:55, and as you can see, we're getting a little bit brighter out here. You can see the shadow creeping across the moon. It's a little hard to see, I'm sure, in the camera, but from here we can see it nice and clearly. It's about a third of the way covered. The moon's starting to turn nice and orange. Over my right shoulder, you can see downtown St. Louis and the nice early morning sun, which is getting very bright on the eastern horizon behind us. Yeah, we'll get that in there again. So you can see it's practically day here, yet we still have the full moon out, which is slowly eclipsing. And it's still cold. Okay, so it's now about 7:04 a.m. and over my shoulder you probably cannot see anything, but through the stacks of the refinery back there we can just barely make out a little bit of the moon left. It's about 2/3 the way covered with earth shadow, and it's turning a sort of pale orange pinkish color, but with the bright morning sun coming up, there's not enough contrast to be able to see the moon there. We can still see it just a little bit. What I find very interesting is I was expecting the shadow to come upward across the moon as it would go down and it would pass into shadow, and actually it's going the other way around. The shadow, as the moon is here, the shadow is creeping down across the moon, even though the sun's coming up over here, and that must be because of the moon's rotation around the earth. It's moving farther up, even though the sun's light is actually coming from over there. It's actually coming underneath the earth. So if you imagine the sun is here, the earth is here, and the moon is back here, and this light was coming under the earth, but the moon must be rotating around even though we're turning, so it looks like the moon is going down. It's kind of an optical illusion. It's pretty cool. So the sun is scheduled to set at 7:08. I'm sorry, the sun will rise at 7:08. The moon is scheduled to set at 7:08. So exact same time, so we might actually catch a glimpse of both for a brief moment.
Total lunar eclipse happening on October 8th marks the morning when people east of the Mississippi River might also be able to witness an extremely rare cosmic event called a selenilion. This occurrence involves the beginning of sunrise happening at the same time as a full lunar eclipse on opposite ends of the sky.
Here's one for the you don't see this every day files. A lunar eclipse after sunrise.
A lunar eclipse happens when the sun and moon are 180 degrees apart with the Earth in the middle.
During a lunar eclipse, the moon passes deep inside the shadow of our planet, a location that bathes the face of the moon in a coppery light.
Selenilion is observed due to atmospheric refraction. The view of the moon appears to be above the horizon for several minutes after it has set, while the light of the sun appears a few minutes before it has risen. If you're planning to observe the eclipse or the selenilion, it is advised that you choose a location away from the lights of the city and where the horizon isn't obscured by buildings, trees, or mountains.
Et dans la vidéo suivante, Mr. Thrive and Survive démontre qu'un selenilion est impossible dans le cadre du modèle sphérique.
I've been working on one video, believe it or not, for 4 days. A very simple video, but it's pretty complex with how I have to put it together. And to me, that's going to be pretty much a mind-blowing video. At least it was for me when it dawned on me. But anyway, I want you to take a look at this. This is back in December 7th, 2011. Saturday's lunar eclipse will include impossible sight. This goes along with some of the other possible things like superior mirages to tell us that the Chicago skyline, even though it's 40, 50, 60 miles away and should be, I don't know, 2,000 feet below the horizon, magically we can see the Sears Tower all the way from the waterline all the way up 60 miles away. But, you know, that's superior mirages for you. They happen all the time, and they just happen to be crystal clear when they happen in Chicago. And people just want to bury their heads in the sand with this stuff. Let them bury it. Anyway, this was interesting because of the timing of this. This eclipse was going to happen around sunrise, and they had to come out and, of course, explain what was going to happen here because they blame it on atmospheric reaction that makes, are you ready? This is called, I hope I'm going to pronounce this right, a selenilion. Selenilion. That's actually the sound the cow makes just before it defecates. That's where I think they got this name from. Back in this position right here, this is where if you have bent rays, which they're not, if the sun's rays were coming at an angle here, which by the way is required for the umbra penumbra effect, right here at this angle, the sun's rays coming through might be able to do something like that. But again, who has shown one example, just one, of casting red light onto anything? And if you're going to have red sun on the earth, and a very famous MIT physicist has a lecture online that explains exactly why we have red sunsets on the earth, and it has nothing to do with anything they're showing here. It has to do with the amount of dust particles that are being scattered in the air, because you are looking through more atmosphere when the sun is lower in the sky, when it's getting ready to set. The more dust particles it's got to shine through, the more it scatters into the red light spectrum. There's no way to project that onto the moon. It's impossible. And if you're precipitating, I'm using that word, if you're precipitating red on the earth, that means there's no red left to cast out to the moon. Does that make sense?
Les phases de la Lune tous les 6 mois. Les phases de la Lune devraient être inversées au moment opposé de l'année parce que la Terre et la Lune se trouvent sur le côté opposé du système solaire alors que le Soleil reste à peu près au milieu. Les phases ne s'inversent jamais et maintenant les phases ne s'inversent jamais et maintiennent toujours le même cycle de 29,5 jours. Cela n'est pas possible si la Terre apparaît soi-disant sur le côté opposé du Soleil. Commencez à regarder cette vidéo.
So now let's turn our attention to the moon. Many of us have seen the moon appear full at various times throughout the day, as in this picture. But how can that happen? If you're standing at point C, then it's the middle of the night. Full moon, no problem. And if you're standing at point A, it's early in the morning. Certainly if you stare back at the moon in the night sky, then yes, you can see a full moon. But if you're standing at point B, which is midday, that is, the sun is directly overhead, then there isn't anywhere that the moon can be that will allow you to see it as full, because the sun will be illuminating the side of the moon that is facing away from you. So the best you'll be able to see is a sliver of the moon. Think about it next time you see the full moon during the day. Every month the moon goes through 8 distinct phases. Always the same 8, always the same order. Supposedly because of a relationship between the position of the moon relative to the position of the earth and the sun. So let's say it's December, and throughout the month we see the normal 8 phases of the moon. But what happens when it's June and the earth is supposedly on the other side of the sun? Shouldn't the phases be reversed? That's not what we see. We see the same 8 phases in the same order.
La visibilité de la Lune alors qu'elle devrait être à l'autre côté de la Terre. Dans la vidéo, une roquette est lancée vers l'espace depuis le nord du Nevada et la caméra attrape un aperçu de la Lune de très loin. Cependant, la Lune aurait dû être à l'autre côté de la Terre, au-dessus de l'Australie, au moment du lancement. En outre, la Lune semble encore loin de l'horizon. Il semble d'après la vidéo que le Soleil et la Lune soient sur le même plan horizontal. La Lune n'est même pas proche de l'horizon, ce qui prouve que le modèle sphérique est erroné.
He said the next morning I did a short flight just before the rocket launched. That means the rocket was launched somewhere in the morning. It looks clear, the sun is already out, so it can't be that early in the morning. However, after the launch, they were flying in a helicopter to see where the rocket comes down. For a split second in this video, you can see a GPS device in the helicopter, which shows the time, and the time is 11:40. So the launch must be between approximately 8 o'clock at the morning and 11 a.m. The rocket was launched in the Black Rock Desert in Nevada, USA. In July, Nevada's time zone is Pacific Daylight Time, which is UTC -7. Now, let's check out where the moon was at this time. I'm using timeanddate.com and trying to find where the moon was on the 14th of July from 15 o'clock UTC to 18 o'clock UTC. As you can see, by the time the rocket was launched, the moon was in this area, right over Australia. So, if the Earth is a globe, it would be impossible to see the moon from Nevada, because the moon would basically be on the other side of the globe.
Aucune éclipse d'objet autre que la Lune. Les éclipses lunaires sont un des rares arguments de valeur. Du moins, c'est ce qu'ils ressemblent dans un premier temps à l'appui du globe. Durant une éclipse lunaire, une ombre sphérique vient de se projeter sur la Lune, soi-disant l'ombre de la Terre projetée par le Soleil, Soleil se trouvant de l'autre côté. Cela n'explique pas tout, bien sûr, telles que les éclipses horizontales ou solennelians, ni pourquoi les éclipses lunaires peuvent se produire dans des directions variées et imprévisibles, ou pourquoi l'ombre de la Terre a une teinte rougeâtre sur la Terre. Les explications officielles sont loin d'être convaincantes. Plus intéressant encore, l'ombre de la Terre ne semble pas agir sur quoi que ce soit en dehors de la Lune. Pourquoi est-ce qu'aucun autre corps ne se trouve éclipsé par l'ombre énorme de la Terre? Avez-vous déjà observé un supposé satellite qui ne sont pas auto-illuminés soudainement disparaître dans l'ombre de la Terre, puis réapparaîtra ensuite? L'ISS, où ce qui en tient lieu, semble-t-il disparaître à la façon d'une lumière qu'on éteint derrière l'ombre de 13 000 km de la Terre. Pour fouler ce sujet, vous pouvez rendre dans cette vidéo spotthestation.nasa.gov/sightings. Et les autres planètes, est-ce que Mars ou Jupiter ont déjà été éclipsés par l'ombre de la Terre, qui devrait être encore plus grosse au moment de les atteindre? Est-ce que les comètes proches disparaissent derrière l'ombre de la Terre? On pourrait s'attendre à ce qu'aucun objet ne se soit visible la plus grande partie de la nuit, ni supposé satellite, ni aucun autre relativement proche dans l'espace, mais c'est pas le cas.